What's up, Magic players? This is JT with Lamppost Magic, and today we have another Infinite combo. Today's combo is in my Inalla Archmage Ritualist Commander deck. Inalla, the important part that we're going to read here is the Imminence, which means that you can use this ability when it's in the command zone. When another non-token wizard enters the battlefield under your control, if Inalla Archmage Ritualist is in the command zone or on the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do, create a token that is a copy of that wizard. The token gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. The cool thing with Inalla is that a lot of the combos are just enabled by Inalla sitting in the command zone. And in fact, preferably you don't put it on the battlefield, because then someone can manipulate it either by putting an enchantment on it that makes it lose abilities, or by stealing it by gaining control of it. So those are just a couple of ways that you don't want it to be on the battlefield. You just want to use it for the combos, depending on what kind of commander deck you're doing. But in the case of this combo, uses Ashnod's Altar. Obviously, a lot of combos are enabled by Ashnod's Altar. In fact, if you don't have one, I know it's a couple bucks, but throw it in Inalla anyway. Go buy one, because this thing will enable. Not only does it enable combos, but it will pay for the Imminence trigger, basically refund you for it after you use it, because if you put out a wizard, pay 1, and then before that wizard goes away at the beginning of your end step, you just sack it to Ashnod's Altar, or whenever the trigger is on the stack that they'll go away at the end step, then you can respond by sacking it, getting 2 colorless. And sometimes you can use that for different things, sometimes you can't, but it's just good to have. The other thing you can do is gain 1 colorless just by, let's say you want to put a creature in the battlefield with the Imminence trigger from Inalla, but you don't really care about using that creature, then you can just sack it immediately and get that 1 free colorless mana. So this is a very good card. Now, put it there. You'll need to have this casted on your battlefield in order for this combo to work, and you'll also need to have any other wizard, preferably a wizard with an enter the battlefield effect, because what's going to happen is you are going to get unlimited hasty creatures, unlimited mana, and unlimited enter the battlefield effects of any one wizard. Actually, any wizard on the battlefield. You can get infinite enter the battlefield effects. So let's say this one's on the battlefield. When Merchant of Secrets enter the battlefield, draw a card. So we'll just have that. We can do infinite draws if we want. The problem with this one, in theory, is that it's not a May. So if you used Merchants of Secret, you could accidentally deck yourself. Like, let's say your opponent, for whatever reason, has plenty of life to handle you sending 100 Merchant of Secret hasty tokens at them. You'll actually want to probably pick a different person than this. But for instance, I was using earlier today, I played this deck and I used my it's a 3 mana wizard that says, when this creature enters battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact with 3 mana and put it into your hand. Reveal it and put it into your hand. Basically, that, because it's a May, it's a good candidate for copying, because I can take advantage of the enter the battlefield, but I don't have to, and therefore it doesn't hurt me. But let's just use this card as an example, because maybe you want to draw 60 cards for whatever reason. So this is on the battlefield. All you have to do now is cast Changeling Berserker and have at least 1 colorless mana, or colorless mana available to create an Imminence token. So we're going to cast Changeling Berserker. Changeling Berserker says, haste, champion a creature. Well, first of all, it's a changeling, which is important because that means it's a wizard and you can use the Imminence trigger. Haste, champion a creature, which means when this comes into play, sacrifice it unless you remove another creature you control from the game. When this leaves play, that card returns to play. So we're going to cast this and we're going to champion Merchants of Secrets. When Changeling Berserker enters the battlefield, we want to pay 1 for the Imminence trigger, and then we will put out a 1/1 Changeling Berserker. Now this also says champion a creature. So we're going to champion Changeling Berserker. So when Changeling Berserker's championed, it leaves the battlefield, and Merchant of Secrets comes onto the battlefield, right? So now we get to draw a card from Merchant of Secret if we want to. So look at that, Memory Plunder, not really useful. I mean, it can be, but it's just in my deck for whatever reason. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Let's use Ashnod's Altar to sacrifice this token. So we sacrifice the token for 2 colorless mana. So remember, we have 2 colorless mana out on the battlefield. Then, because this comes back into play, it champions a creature. So we're going to champion Merchant of Secrets again. So now you can see the combo. We've demonstrated the combo, but now we have 2 colorless mana. So this time we will pay 1 of those colorless mana to put this token in the battlefield, and it will champion Changeling Berserker. However, because we have profited 1 colorless mana, we now, when this Merchant of Secrets comes into play, we can pay 1 for the Eminence trigger and get a 1/1, or yeah, a 1/1 hasty token that also says when this enters the battlefield, draw a card. So now we draw another card because of that. Well, we draw a card from Merchant of Secrets, then we draw another card from the token. So now you can see how we're drawing our deck, and this could be dangerous in the long run, but that's not really the combo. The combo is that you get unlimited enter the battlefield effects, unlimited mana, because each time you do the combo, you didn't have to create a 1/1. So let's say we did the first part of the combo without creating the extra token here, 10,000 times. So now we have 10,000 colorless mana, and then we go into creating the 1/1 tokens here, hasty tokens, and let's say we create 10,000 of them. Now we have 10,000 tokens. The problem with this is we drew 10,000 cards, so we don't want to do that one. But let's just say we did it 30 times. We made 30 hasty tokens, and we drew 30 cards. So generally, you'll also want something in your Inalla deck that can handle what happens when you draw way too many cards, just in case your opponent manages to shut down your combo in some way. But in general, they would have to shut down your combo at a point where you cannot champion or you cannot use Ashnod's Altar to remove the token and therefore bring this back into play and start the combo again. So, I mean, there are ways they can do that, I believe, like if they instant speed. No, so yeah, let's say you're on the step where you are championing the Merchant of Secrets. They would be able to board wipe you, or even spot removal this creature. And if they did that, then you could pay 1 to create a token. But let's say you pay 1 to create a token, and then they spot remove the Changeling Berserker so that your token doesn't have a valid target to champion. That's how they can end the spell. So there are ways they can end the combo. But in general, you'll want to use something other than draw a card unless you just want to draw off all of your deck. But you'll really want something in your deck that says something along the lines of, if you would run out of cards and would lose the game from drawing your card, then you can win the game instead. There's a Jace Planeswalker that does that, and then there's Laboratory Maniac, I believe, is the card that does that as well. I honestly don't have those in this deck, which is probably oversight on my part, but definitely cards to consider. But anyway, hopefully that makes sense. That combo makes sense. If you want to know a couple other cards that would be good to have in here, here is one that would end the game pretty immediately. Instead of Merchant of Secrets, you could put in Anathemancer. And whenever it comes into play, it deals damage to target player equal to the number of non-basic lands that player controls. As long as they have 1 non-basic land, you can win the game. So, you would create infinite hasty Anathemancer tokens, but let's say they have an Evolving Wild on the battlefield, which would actually be a bad example. Let's say they have anything like a Drowned Catacomb or something in the battlefield. Then you'll deal 1 damage each time Anathemancer comes out. Now, you might be playing someone with a commander who has, 10 different non-basic land cards, and therefore this would deal 10 every time it comes out. So it would be a pretty quick, you wouldn't even have to say that I'm doing an infinite combo. You could just do it and win. Like just demonstrate it 4 times and win. But in general, infinite enter the battlefield effects, infinite mana, and infinite hasty creature tokens. Hopefully that all makes sense. If it does, please leave a like. If it doesn't, also leave a like, but then leave a comment, and I will answer every comment and every question you have about this combo, unless for whatever reason this video gets like 1 million views and we have like thousands of comments, and then in which case I would probably not have time to do that. But anyway, leave a comment. I will answer all of them. And then if you want more combo videos, especially with Inalla, because I'm going to be running through all the combos in my deck here pretty soon, and then I'm going to make a deck tech video, and then I'm going to pretty much show you how I made this deck, you know, where I've decided to cut out for budget purposes, and then what you can do to make a pretty budget Inalla deck that wins games. And so if that's something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time.